narrative of the surrender of Bonaparte and of his residence on board HMS Bellerophon, with a detail of the principal events that occurred in that ship between the 24th of May and the 8th of August, 1815, by Captain F.L. Maitland. Preface. Some explanation seems called for when, after a lapse of 11 years, I present to the public my narrative of the reception and residence of Napoleon Bonaparte on board HMS Bellerophon, as it will naturally be asked why it has been so many years in seeing the light, and from what cause it makes its appearance at this particular period. Immediately after the extraordinary and interesting events took place which are here recorded, I was, by the earnest solicitation of my friends, induced to throw together the notes and memoranda in my possession of the proceedings in which I bore so prominent a part. I was further led to undertake this task so foreign to my usual occupation in consequence of the many misrepresentations that appeared at that time respecting the conduct of Bonaparte while on board the ship I commanded, as well as my treatment of him. The following narrative was then written solely for the private perusal of my friends, and not with a view to publication, many reasons combining at that time, in my opinion, to render such a measure inexpedient. I made it my study to state events exactly as they occurred, and in doing so to avoid as much as possible all prejudice, either against or in favor of the extraordinary man whom it was my fortune to secure and bring to this country. It may appear surprising that a possibility could exist of a British officer being prejudiced in favor of one who had caused so many calamities to his country, but to such an extent did he possess the power of pleasing, that there are few people who could have sat at the same table with him for nearly a month as I did, without feeling a sensation of pity, allied perhaps to regret that a man possessed of so many fascinating qualities, and who had held so high a station in life, should now be reduced to the situation in which I saw him. Although many of the causes for withholding my narrative from the public eye have long been removed, I had no intention of bringing it forward until by accident it fell into the hands of a most celebrated literary character. He did me the honor, on returning it, to express an opinion which I was not at all prepared to expect, and so strongly to recommend its being published, that however averse to appearing as an author, I have been induced under the sanction of such high authority to present it to the public. The habits of my life since I entered my profession at a very young age have been very different from those of a literary man, and therefore the following narrative has no pretensions to any other merit than what arises from the interest of the subject, and is nearly forbidden, as originally written in the autumn of 1815. Fred L. Maitland, Lindores, 1826. Narrative. On Wednesday, the 24th of May, 1815, I sailed from Cowson Bay in command of His Majesty's ship Bellerophon, and under the orders of Rear Admiral Sir Henry Hotham, whose flag was hoisted in the Superb. I received sealed instructions, part of which were to be opened on getting to sea, and part only to be examined in the event of my being separated from the admiral. Those which I opened contained directions to detain and send into port all armed vessels belonging to the government of France. On Sunday, the 28th of May, we joined His Majesty's ship Australian Telegraph, stationed off the Isle d'Eu, on a secret service, and the following day 3 transports under charge of the Helican arrived from England, having on board arms and ammunition to supply the royalists in La Vendée, for whose support and assistance I now found the squadron of which the Bellerophon formed one was destined. On Tuesday, the 30th of May, I received orders from Sir Henry Hotham to take the Eridanus under my command and proceed off Rochefort for the purpose of preventing a corvette from putting to sea, which, according to information received by the British government, was to carry proposals for Bonaparte to the West India colonies to declare in his favor. I had likewise orders to reconnoiter the roadstead of Rochefort and report to the admiral the number and state of the ships of war lying there. Accordingly, on the 31st of May, I ran into the Basque Roads and found at anchor under the Isle of Aix 2 large frigates, a ship corvette, and a large brig, all ready for sea, which I afterwards ascertained to be the Medusa Sal, Balletier, and a Pervier. Nothing occurred worth mentioning until the 9th of June, when the Vesuve French corvette came in from the northward and got into Rochefort, notwithstanding every effort to prevent her. The ships under my orders having been driven to the southward during the night by a strong northerly wind, accompanied by a southerly current. She was from Guadeloupe, and immediately on passing the Chasteron lighthouse, hoisted the tricolor flag. On the 18th of June, I detained and sent to Sir Henry Hotham, the Aeneas French store ship commanded by a lieutenant of the navy, with a crew of 50 men, loaded with ship timber for the arsenal of Rochefort, but he, being of opinion that she did not come within the attention of the order, liberated her. On the 21st of June, I detained and sent to the Admiral, under charge of the Eretinus, the Mariana French transport from Martinique, having on board 220 of the 9th Regiment of Light Infantry, coming to France to join the army under Bonaparte. The Eretinus was sent to England with her, and did not return to me, being employed on other service. On the 27th of June, the Cephalus joined us, bringing with her the declaration of war against France, after which we were employed several days, taking and destroying chasse marées and other small coasting vessels.